Thanks for jumping in for today's video. For today's topic, I really wanted to just touch on a topic that we get a lot of questions about, uh, typically during the early phases of it, a prospect evaluating solutions. And that's really surrounding data completeness and validation, especially due to the fact that within Intact, we are able to capture that data at a much more granular level than people are used to coming off of those older, smaller legacy systems, right? The reason this is due to the dimensional GL within Intact. For those of you unfamiliar, dimensions are essentially just these standalone fields at the point of entry and are used for capturing data and transactions against attributes that we can then turn around and report on. So this could be for things like departments, locations, expenses by employee, or even profitability by a piece of equipment, for example. With all of these new fields and dimensions being available at the transaction level, how is it that management can really make sure that their employees are capturing all of that data in a complete and accurate way, right? So that that data can then be pulled through to our reporting. So Intact approaches this a number of different ways. So let's jump in and see what this looks like within the system.
So the first thing I'm going to hit on is what we call forcing balancing of dimensions. So in many cases, prospects want to be able to run a balance sheet by maybe various physical locations, despite those physical locations all falling under one entity, as an example here. The way we can deal with this is to enforce balancing across dimensions during data entry. And so we can do this by coming into our GL configuration and selecting the dimensions that we want to ensure balance at all times. Um, the next topic I'll touch on is using default dimensions. And so I'll talk about this from a construction and real estate perspective, as this is the channel that we at Sockeye most focus on. But within our jobs housed here within the jobs application, we have the ability to set up default dimensions at the additional info tab here. And this area will help with two issues: the employee time and expense, as well as the purchasing workflows. So for time and expense, labor costs typically accrue on the location and department assigned to the employee record. But with the dimensions assigned at the project level, these dimensions will actually override the location and department to the dimensions assigned to the project anytime the employee codes time to the project. And so that kind of protects us against the accidental miscoding and ensuring our fields are correctly filled out. And then for purchasing, these dimensions will actually auto-populate for us in the transaction detail lines as soon as we select the project. So to see this, I'll just come into my purchasing area here. We'll select the start a new PO. And you'll see once I select the job I want to assign this to, all three of my dimensions, location, department, and class, then automatically populate for me. Now, the third way we can help to ensure completeness is requiring dimensions for any accounts that we want to ensure we have dimensions captured for. So this would be typical of our P&L accounts, where maybe we want to ensure, both location and department are captures that we can then better analyze performance by those dimensions. But to show what this looks like, and if we need to do this manually for a specific account, we can come into our general ledger application here and then come into our general accounts listing. And then if I select any one of these accounts and scroll down, I'll see this area here where we can select the dimensions that we want to require. And so this will apply to all entries hitting this account. And so once this is done, should an employee attempt to post something to that account without the required dimension, it would then throw a warning letting them know. So to show this, I'll just quickly come into a journal entry. We'll attempt to code something to this notes receivable account without a location. And as you see, we were completely disallowed from posting that transaction, given we had violated that rule, and it pretty clearly spells it out, what it is that went wrong here. Now, the last method I'll touch on today is something in the system Sage calls smart rules. And so these smart rules are essentially logic based rules that we can provide the system to validate fields or validate fields against other fields. So not only are we ensuring data completeness, but we can actually also ensure data accuracy in some cases. So to provide a simple example to get you kind of thinking about what we can do with these, if perhaps within an accounts payable bill, anytime we wanted to code to a specific account, we wanted to ensure the employee provided a description of the expense, for example. We could write a rule with something along the lines of, when account number equals X, memo field cannot be null. Or if we had a set of accounts maybe that we didn't want to allow to be coded to for a certain department, we could say if department equals Y, do not allow account numbers to equal 1 through 3, as an example. Thanks for staying with me. These are some common ways that we address some of these issues to ensure your data is complete and accurate. But keep in mind, there are many more application specific controls and functionality that the team here at Sockeye will help configure with you as you go through the implementation. And then finally, these are not something just set up by your implementer prior to go live. As you learn and grow on Intacct and fine tune the use of the system, you can build out these rules and processes to grow with you as you identify those issues or maybe recurring problems or miscodings. And the team here at Sockeye is always available to help as part of that ongoing support. Thanks for watching. And as always, if you have any questions over this or anything having to do with Sage Intacct, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to our team here at Sockeye.